Starting a new series where we rate footballers' careers on a scale of 1 to 10. Well, technically, should we say 3 to 9? Because I don't think there actually is such thing as a perfect player. So, in case you're not familiar already, which none of you will be because this is new, the scale is compared to players who are playing in, let's say, top leagues. So, we're saying like the top 5 leagues. Maybe not top 5, maybe like top 8 or whatever, but we're just saying first division football in general at a, let's just say, the highest level of professional football. So think Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga, Liga 1, Liga NOS, Eredivisie, etc. So effectively, the scale goes like this. So 9 plus, as you can clearly see, means GOAT. So this means like the best of the best players. So as you can see, Maradona, Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Pele, like the Mount Rushmore tier of footballers. And at number 8, you have near GOAT. Now, this means like not GOAT tier, but very clearly among the greats. So think players like Neymar Jr. and things like that. I'm sure there's plenty of other players I could think of that would be in 8 tier, but like I said, we're going to think about that some other day. I will do a more in-depth explanation of where I think each player is at in terms of individual level. At number 7, so rating 7 is world class. So this means like obviously not quite GOAT tier, but still had like a very respectable career. I put Van Dijk here as an example. I would say he's on like the higher end of 7, perhaps, but I would say that this is a fair rating based on the scale. Then obviously at number 6 we have Juan Mata. Now this means like upper par. So this means like above the average player playing in like the first division, above the average career for sure, but still not consistent enough or didn't have the longevity to be considered like world class, but was world class at one point usually. Or they just simply were consistently at a high level. It really depends. And then 5 means like a very average player. Think Adam Lallana. You know, he did the Cruyff turn, he had a couple of good years, but overall it just wasn't that consistent and wasn't really a top level player for that long. Only at obviously his first stint at Southampton and obviously, you know, in the early Liverpool days. And then at 4, we have like subpars. So I've got Haraguchi Genki here, who played for Stuttgart and many other teams, but he simply just wasn't quite at the level for top level football, as he was often a backup. He's obviously not in the Japan squad anymore. And this just means someone who's not really at the level required for the top leagues, but was still able to play like a squad role in maybe like a lower team or something. So it's like not totally out of place, but clearly out of his depth. Then we have 3, which is substandard, with Timothy Fosu-Mensah here. Barely got any minutes for Manchester United, barely got any minutes for Leverkusen. And this just means not at the level for a first division, which means 3. Obviously, I don't have 1 or 2 because in my view, 1, 2 and 3 are already the same thing practically in effect, because it means they're not at the level for, shall I say, the first division. Now, this is different to the scale a lot of football creators use, obviously the 99 rating scale, but I feel this is just a lot more simple for people to understand, especially if they're new to the sport. So without further ado, we're going to get started. So today we're reviewing Kagawa Shinji, who is a Japanese attacking midfielder currently playing for Gamba Osaka. As you can see, these are the clubs he's played for, and without further ado, now we're going to get into his strengths. So the strengths of the player involved the fact he was world class in the 11 to 12 season for Borussia Dortmund. He actually won Bundesliga Player of the Season. He also won obviously the double, the DFB Pokal and the Bundesliga too with Borussia Dortmund. He was also upper par in the 10 to 11 and 15-16 seasons, and upper par means, you know, he played pretty well. I could argue he may have been close to 7, maybe 6.5. Obviously, he was a good dribbler, playmaker, passer, and had very good intelligence in the game. Now, having good intelligence in the game is extremely important because it means you are able to predict the next move on the field. And especially for a player playing as an attacking midfielder, this is important. And even now in Gamba Osaka, he still has this element of his game. Like his dribbling and his dynamism and stuff has obviously declined with age, but now he's playing a deeper role. Hence, I said he's a centre mid as well as a central attacking midfielder. But nowadays, he's playing more of a centre mid in a deeper role. His weaknesses, however, we're going to go into his consistency. Obviously, there were like seasons where he was really good. When he came to Manchester United, his level clearly fell. Although I would argue that his first season with us under Sir Alex was actually decent. Probably not quite at the highest level possible, but I would say maybe like par or so. But then the second season, he was probably substandard by that point, or subpar at very best. And then by the age of 29, obviously when he'd gone to, after his second stint at Dortmund, when he was in these teams, shall I say, which is obviously Besiktas, Real Zaragoza, PAOK, he really didn't do much, so I'd put him at substandard. Defensive contribution obviously has never really been his strongest point. Adaptability, should I say? His adaptability was poor because he was unable to adapt to obviously the Premier League. And as for defensive contribution, obviously the Premier League required him to be intense and press, which obviously he didn't really seem very good at. It wasn't really his game. And obviously disciplined party lifestyle. I've seen plenty of Japanese tabloids talk about how he was prioritising women over football at one point. The overall rating I would give on this scale for his career, I would give him a 5.5 out of 10. So he's between par and upper par, in my opinion. So I would say above average because he has a legacy with the national team. I should have really put that there, but that's cool. He has a good legacy with the Japan national team. And if we have a look at players of a similar tier, we could say these players here. I would say they're at a very similar level to him all time. Maybe some of them didn't prime as high as he did, but I would say in terms of the overall spread, I would say that they are all very similar level to Kagawa. Yeah, just wanted to thank you for watching this series and stay tuned for the next one.